freaky. And
Oh, it's Dance Fever. It is part deux of Marketing's Qualifieds Rundown today.
Part two. I'm like, what the heck? What kind of language is that? Now I get it.
Deux. It's French.
Duh.
All right, so this is Cognitive Nick. I'm back here with Miss Swedish Fish, and we're going to be talking about cognitive bias. This is complicated. Some complicated stuff for a Friday afternoon.
I'm not sure if it's complicated. It's just, I kind of thrive in this. I went to school. Yeah, I'm a thinker, and I love psychology. I haven't been really involved in it for many years, but I think this is so interesting, and marketers should be aware of these things.
Yeah, let's keep it real. The psychology is every day in our lives, in marketing, working, home,
kids.
Yeah, dogs, kids, everywhere. It's everywhere. All right, so let's jump into it. So there's 5 cognitive biases that we want to talk about relative to be understanding these. Truly, you will be a better marketer, because that's what we're all about. We're about the marketing.
And so there are more out there, but we had 5 in the newsletter.
True. Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, we're not. And for the record, we are not psychologists. We're not psychiatrists. We're not Dr. Freud or Dr. Phil. We are just we're just marketers.
Swedish.
All right. So number one, the bandwagon effect. So I think obviously you probably heard of this one. Like most people, hey, jump on the bandwagon. That person's on the bandwagon, or a lot of times it's people, sports teams. It's jump on the bandwagon. So this is when people adopt behaviors, attitudes just because somebody else is doing it. So a famous person says, I like the Padres. Oh, well, I gotta like the Padres too. Or I like Tesla. Oh, I gotta like Tesla too.
Yeah, opinions from other people, but also a majority. If a lot of people are saying things or doing things, it doesn't really matter what it is. I think ChatGPT is a good example. It just started people oh my God, I need to figure out ChatGPT now because everyone's doing it, everyone's using it. So yeah.
Again, that's why everybody uses AI. Well, AI, but okay, yeah, what does that really mean? So, all right. So if you're a marketer, how do you use the bandwagon? How do you use this psychology? So there's a couple options, right? So there's leveraging social proof, which we obviously talk about all the time. Testimonials, case studies. I think we are kings and queens of talking about this kind of stuff, which is great, right? It's a good way to show off things.
Yeah. You should do that all the time. User-generated content, if you have that, reviews, share that.
Yeah, you are a great example of you're always using examples of content when just out in general, right?
Yeah.
So social proof, user-generated, or that kind of content is a great way to use it. The other option is one of my favorites.
Yeah. I remember when I moved to the States, I had no idea what that meant.
FOMO?
Yeah. Now I think they actually use that expression in Sweden too. So now it's different. But
yeah. So if you don't know, you are, again, living under a rock if you don't know what FOMO is, but, fear of missing out. So this is a way, and we've used this in advertising for B2B quite a bit for our clients and other things, but it truly is it's trying to use phraseology to try to convince people if I don't do this, I'm missing out, right? I think that's really whether it talks about satisfaction, I got 10,000 satisfied customers, or whatever.
X company did this, or yeah.
We gave $500,000 to this, nonprofit, and we helped them solve world hunger, anything like that. So it's creating the FOMO.
Yeah, you basically encourage people to follow the crowd, follow what everyone.
Just be a sheep.
Yes.
Okay.
Number 2.
Number 2. What's number 2?
Halo effect. Like a little angel halo effect. But that is when the overall impression of a person or product influences how others feel about that specific trait of it.
This is an interesting one, I think, in today's social media environment, especially for B2B. And I will actually I'll call out there's a couple of things. One, I just mentioned Tesla, right? So there's, for anybody that's, you don't even have to like Tesla, but Elon Musk obviously has what I would consider a halo effect on everything he does, whether it be Tesla, SpaceX. It doesn't matter. So, I mean, I think there is a perception about a person and a brand, and that can be he is their brand ambassador, right? But that can have a positive or a negative effect. So when you think about it as a business, there can be CEOs, there can be there's a couple technology companies today that are using famous actors to portray products and have a perception about the brand. That's the same type of thing, right? It's how does that person and then the traits of that person make you feel that has a halo effect on the product. So does that make sense?
So yeah, their positive or negative image will basically be transferred to the product or service or whatever. So yeah, I mean that's influencer marketing.
It's totally it's influencer marketing. So it's finding somebody. I mean, really, how you use it from a marketer's perspective. Find somebody that can be a positive influence, hopefully not a negative influence on your brand, and they transfer their image to your brand. So much harder in B2B, but
much harder. We talked about this offline today, you and I, and I mean, B2C, obviously influencer marketing is insanely crazy right now. But we're not there in B2B, but I think there is an opportunity for B2B to just
I think
jump on that bandwagon.
Yeah, I think it's coming around.
Yeah.
I mean, I even think I'll call out. I mean, Juniper Networks just launched an ad campaign, and they're using. This isn't really influencer marketing, but just who they chose. They chose a actress from Mad Men. That's a famous actress. That's very well known, and they're using it across all their branding, all their ads on YouTube, etc. So they're taking a perception of that actress and then portraying it into their brand messaging, which I find pretty interesting. So
very interesting. So I think they did it good.
All right. So number 3, cognitive behavior, endowment effect, which whenever I think of endowment, I think of like an endowment, like from the old days of you're going to get an endowment from money from like a family or something.
But this one, I mean, I completely understand this, like so basically you value something more if you're the owner of it.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of things for myself. I'm not sure if if I'm part of that.
Yeah, this one I think is an interesting cognitive behavior for B2B. So especially in tech, there are often a lot of trials, so free trials. So let me get a free access point. Let me get a free software. Let me get 30 days of access to the platform. If they have that and they get to touch it, feel it, use it, they have that endowment cognition. I agree with you. I think people are much more skeptical these days, and they are going to go try something. We try things all the time on platforms to sandbox. That doesn't necessarily encourage us just to say, yeah, I'm going to do it. It just means we're testing it out. So this one, I think in today's age is much, much harder from a marketing perspective.
And definitely so much harder B2B. I think that this can be a good thing to explore more, because if you can figure it out, because it's really powerful in some other B2C marketing. I've read several articles about this, how they're just changing like words to the target is when you read it, they own whatever it is. Like use your time, use your money, instead of saying like, here you have X. And there are clear studies that shows that you take action on that. But B2B, we should explore that a little bit more and find ways to do it.
It's tough. Yeah, I think it's just it's tough when there's so many choices, and it's tough when the product, I think the issue here too is the cost to value ratio. So if it's a high cost, it's even harder to get that cognitive feeling. So, all right. Number 4.
Confirmation bias.
Oh. This is, I hate to even talk about this one in the current political environment, but this one, confirmation bias is rampant, I think, in everything people do in just society, but even in marketing, even more so. So confirmation bias obviously is you interpret the marketing message based on your beliefs. So this is, if you already believe it, then if the business can craft your message to tap into that mindset. So as an example, if somebody already believes, let's just say, They believe that Aruba is the best technology possible for wireless networking. Then if they already go into that and you reinforce that messaging, then by default, it jumps into their mind and they're going to be more apt to click on the ad, more apt to read the email. Right. So I think the key is how do you use confirmation bias in your messaging and your content to really reinforce it to those people that are in your target audience that are, I would consider, super fans.
Yeah, it's definitely a little tricky one too, but could be really yield a lot of results and ROI if you get that message in front of the right person.
Yeah, and I think and everybody wants to feel like they're on the winning team, right? That they're getting it. And so I think, and there's several people in tech, I think, that do this well, and they'll have champions programs or other programs where they're advertising and talking to these people like you're a champion. I mean, you're reinforcing the fact that they know about something, and Reddit is obviously filled with all of this. Reddit is basically confirmation bias on a platform.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it is. Like you go to subreddits that confirm your confirmation bias. So that's all it is.
I can't believe how much I Google these days, and I put Reddit at the end of the question just to say on Reddit. It's almost embarrassing, and I trust it for some reason.
Yeah, no, I mean it's true. But these are all obviously it's cognitive things. So
yeah.
All right, so that's confirmation bias. The last one, what is it, Ann?
I'm not gonna say it. For the record, right before this call, I had to ask Nick, how do you pronounce this word? And he laughed a little bit.
Yeah, but English isn't your first language. So
it isn't my first language. And sometimes I get to the point, I'm like, I don't really use that word, so I'm not sure how to pronounce it. So I'm not gonna even take a stab at it.
So number 5 is reciprocity bias.
Exactly. I do know what it is, though.
All right, what is it?
It's just that I didn't want to take a stab at the word, but it's basically when you feel like you're obligated to return a favor to someone because they've done something for you.
Yeah, and I think this one is another one we've done personally, and I think we have a lot of clients that do this. It's offering, I mean, to me, it's the epitome of the free download, right? It's access to a ebook, it's access to content. I got a a bottle or cup or mug in the mail, or I got sent a gift, right? You psychologically, you do feel like you've taken something, so you're a little bit more apt to like, okay. Or, I mean, we've seen this before. Like we've given baseball tickets out for people like, oh, hey, if you come, if you have a 30-minute conversation, here's some baseball tickets. Or we get the emails all the time, right? I'll give you a cup of coffee from Starbucks, which I think this one's interesting too with reciprocity, because it used to be where you could say, hey, I'll buy a cup of coffee from Starbucks for a meeting. But time is so important. Reciprocity, now the value has to be such at a higher level than it used to be. Right. Like, I mean, it wouldn't take 30 minutes of your day for a cup of coffee.
No, coffee. I get the lunch offers. I feel like if there are any companies that need to implement this is more like B2C, I guess, but it's like reviews, or when you send someone an email like, hey, IKEA did this to me recently. I know this is a tangent, but I'm like, I'm going to take this review because I returned something. It was a horrible experience.
Yeah.
But I literally went through it. And after, I don't know, 150 questions, I'm still not done. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to continue. You got me through half of this, but I'm done now. I don't get anything for this. And the same goes for that. If you're going to send an executive a coffee for $5, like, no, just think twice when you do that. But then when you do get something nice, you kind of feel like you want to return that.
Yeah. And I think there's the gift side, but if, the people we've talked to and leaders of business, value can be in different forms. So if you were able to tell a CEO or CMO or anybody if you can give them something that maybe saved them 30 minutes a day because you gave them a tip on how to do something, or, and this is specific to B2B, if you allow them to improve their life and something better, that is deep psychology, because it's not only affecting their just work day, but like it's making them better. Right. So it's trying to get that 1% better, which definitely leads into reciprocity.
And I think this one, the last thing I want to mention here is that it does not have, like you were kind of on that track. It doesn't have to be about money, like that you're giving something of a dollar value. Like a lot of people appreciate like I think handwritten thank you letters or thank you notes are never going to go out of
Never.
Never ever that someone just write you, just take the effort of buying a card, writing, like put a stamp on it, go to the post office. Like, yeah. So think outside the box there. Don't just use money.
All right. So that is the 5 cognitive biases to become a better marketer.
Imagine if we would have done just one session today.
Oh my God. So we're sorry we went over a little bit long today. We did part un and duh, but that's all we got for today.
Un and duh. In Swedish we say ett och två.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, okay. We need to stop now, Nick. We're 15 minutes. We're done. Thank you guys. Don't forget to subscribe, marketingqualified.co, for all the B2B marketing that you really need to know.
See you next week.